Namaste, welcome to Arthneeti. New year is fast approaching. Have you started making your resolutions? Well, resolutions are made to be broken. But this year, I want you to make a resolution which you should not break. Well, every year we start by thinking of losing weight, eating healthy, paying off our debts, quitting some bad habits, saving more money. Correct? But this year, I want you to concentrate on how you manage your money well. It is not a one day thing, neither it is a 12-month resolution. But what I am going to suggest to you is an ongoing process. And once we habituate ourselves into doing it, then there is no turning back. Well, this year I want you to start budgeting. Correct, you heard it right. But what is this budgeting? We have heard of union budget that the finance minister, who is currently Nirmala Sitharaman, proposes on the 1st of February every year. But that is for the whole country. Why? Because the finances and the money involved is huge and budgeting becomes necessary. Why should we budget for our individual households? For a family of say 4 people or 5 people, is it really necessary when the money involved is so less, or compared to a country's budget, when a household budget is very minuscule? Is it really necessary to start doing budgeting? Well, no matter what the amount involved is, budgeting is a tool which, if implemented consistently, will help in achieving financial health in the long term. Correct. So, budgeting is something that will help you no matter, in comparison to the whole of India, our own finances are very small. It will help us build our finances, build wealth, and lead to a financially stress free life. See, all of us earn money, all of us spend money on things we need, but it may sometimes happen, rather it is most of the times that it happens, that we have to choose based on the prices and the needs that we want to fulfill. Not all things that are available in the market are within our reach. Correct? So we budget, we do it, but doing it knowingly is what matters the most. That is why I am proposing that this financial year, let us start budgeting. But what is budget? What do I mean when I'm saying budgeting? Well, budgeting, simply put, is a financial plan to manage the resources that we have at our disposal and the expenses that we intend to take up with the money that we have with us. Correct? So, it is basically a plan, a blueprint of how and where the money is going to come from and where we intend to spend the money. So, how do you start budgeting? There are 6 easy steps that are involved for starting budgeting. The first step is understanding your income flows, be it by way of salary that you earn from your job, or by way of business income, by way of rental income if you have a property that you have let out, or say by way of dividends that you earn on your investments. Any source of income should be jotted down. Understanding those sources is very important. Why? Because that is the resource through which you intend to spend money. Correct? So, what are the different ways from which you are going to earn money? Well, while doing this, take into consideration the current level of income. Do not take into consideration what you might earn. Correct? So, in case you are expecting a salary hike, do not take that hike into consideration till you actually get it. Correct? If you once you get that hike, you can redesign your budget. Well, but till such time, making a budget with your current levels of income is very, very necessary. So, understanding the different flows of income that you have as a family is the first step of budgeting. The second step in budgeting is identifying your fixed expenses. Say the EMIs on your loans, or say premiums for your insurance payments. Correct? These expenses will remain the same period to period basis. Correct? So you know that this is a fixed outflow that has to go from your income, say every month, every year, every 6 months, whatever the duration may be. Correct? But once you know the fixed expenses, you know that out of the total income, this sum is to be kept aside for fixed expenses. The third step is to identify your variable expenses. Now, what are fixed expenses? Expenses which are the same every month. Correct? What are variable expenses which fluctuate on a monthly basis? Say, for example, your grocery bills or utility bills like say electricity or mobile charges. Say during summer season, your electricity bill tends to go up because of the additional use of air conditioners. Correct? Or say travel expenses, medical expenses are all fluctuating expenses. You don't exactly know the exact sum that you will have to spend on these things. Correct? So these are examples of variable expenses. So the third step is understanding variable expenses. The fourth step is create financial goals. Now see, financial goals can be short term, medium term and long term goals. But when you are budgeting for one whole year, you need not necessarily just concentrate on short term goals, what you have to achieve in that one year. For that period of budget, which is 1 year, you need to take into consideration your medium as well as long term goals. Correct? Any goals that you have, it is easier to achieve them if you bifurcate it into smaller goals. Like say if you are trying to lose weight, or say a simple exercise that is being told to everyone, that complete 10,000 steps a day to achieve a certain weight loss target. Correct? Now you cannot, if it is not possible for you to walk 10,000 steps in one go, what we normally do is we divide it into smaller segments. Say 1,000 steps, and then you take a break and then do 1,000 steps again. So whatever is suitable, we break down that target into an achievable target. Likewise, for our financial goals as well, whatever short term, medium and long term goals we have, it is easier to achieve them if it is broken down into smaller targets. Yes, if you want to save, say, 2 lakh rupees to buy a car, saving 10,000 rupees every month or 20,000 rupees every month will help you reach your target of 2 lakhs in a matter of less than 2 years. Correct? So you bifurcate, you divide your goals into achievable short term goals. That is how goal setting is done. The next step is to create a budget plan. Now, what is a budget plan? See, basically, once we know our income streams, we plan to spend that income by bifurcating it into separate segments. Say, for household expenses, for medical expenses, say, for the education of your children, for any travel that you want to undertake, a foreign trip that you have in mind. Yes, all these bifurcations need to be planned out in a budget. So, from the income streams, when you do the planning, you segregate your expenses into different categories and then check what amounts you will need to fulfill the needs of those particular categories. Uh, Last but not the least, the sixth point that we should do is revise and review. Never set your budget as if it is set in a stone. Correct? Your budget needs to be flexible. As I told you in the beginning, if your income rises in the next period, over the next year, you will have to take that additional income into consideration and revisit the expenses that you intended to undertake, the savings that you intended to undertake, investments that you had planned from your income. So a budget needs to be flexible. Any changes that happen with our incomes as well as with the surroundings, like say COVID is on the rise once again. Yes, people, the government is asking us to be safe than sorry, right? So taking into consideration, if there are lockdowns, which is still a distant possibility, but if there are lockdowns, do we have an emergency fund for any medical bills that might surface, or say if the business has to be shut for a few days because of lockdowns, do we have a buffer so that we can finance for those particular days our business is shut? Correct? You have to take into consideration all this. So revising and reviewing your budget is very, very important. To summarize once again, the 6 steps, easy steps of budgeting. Firstly, understand your income. Secondly, identify streams or identify your fixed expenses. Thirdly, identifying your variable expenses. Fourth, creating a goal, having a financial goal. Correct? Because if you don't have a goal in sight, you never work towards achieving it. So putting something down on paper and revising, reviewing it will definitely help us in achieving those goals. Setting a plan, correct? So creating various segments, creating various ways in which you want to spend the money that you have earned, where savings and investments form a major part. And lastly, revising, making a flexible budget so that any changes in our incomes, in our requirements, in our surroundings can be added to that budget, and the budget will help us remain on track in achieving our financial goals. Well, I hope you have enjoyed this video, and I hope you start thinking about budgeting from this new year and see how it changes our financial health. See you tomorrow in another video. Till then, goodbye.